Good morning. This is my view for breakfast. It's beautiful out today. We're going to be leaving the Dead Sea and heading up toward Bethlehem and ending up in Jerusalem for the night. What you're looking at is an aerial view of Masada, which we visited first thing this morning. We took a cable car to the top. At the base of the plateau were some Roman garrisons, and they had built this siege ramp of dirt up to the fortress to break through the wall when some Jewish zealots revolted against Rome. The cable car ride to the top was really pretty, as we could see the cliff easily, look out over the Dead Sea Valley. And when we reached the top, we were able to see the archaeological digs where they exposed the remains of the fortress that Herod the Great had built as a fortress for himself in the case that he needed to flee. He had died, and about 50 years after he died, there was a Jewish revolt in Jerusalem. The temple there, the second temple, was torn down, and those Jewish zealots that were fighting against Rome fled, came down to this fortress, and were holed up here for 3 years while the Romans laid siege and kept them here. Herod the Great had created this palace for himself. It was 3 layers. You could see the one down below, and then we were able to walk around the rooms where he would have stayed when he was here. There were still some beautiful mosaic tile work that was exposed on the floors of his bedroom, or what they assume was his bedroom, and also in the bathhouse.
Oh, this is meant to look like water.
So the Romans thought that the walls were lined with marble. They were mistaken. Even though it looks like marble, it is actually just plaster. So there's no source of fresh water here on top of Masada. And so when Herod built his palace, he had many cisterns dug, and when the storms would come on the mountains beyond and flash flood, it would collect first into these little teeny pool or dug cisterns, and it would filter through that stone there in the middle and sand, and then be stored in these large cisterns, which would hold hundreds of thousands of gallons of water to be used. When those Jewish zealots arrived, they needed a synagogue and a place to read the Torah, and they converted what many think were the stables of Herod's to be their synagogue. So like we read about Rahab in the walls of Jericho, where her home was in the walls of Jericho, that's what we have here. These are the walls of the fortress, and each doorway contains a living quarters.
But so when they were talking about taking the Roman bastion and making them like Jewish,
After 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, when they were living here,
They believe that this was an area where they kept doves, just like in the little holes and niches. And she said they could have been used either as food, but also that their droppings can be burned for fuel and used to fertilize gardens. Sadly, when the Romans used the siege ramp to break through the fortress wall, they found that the zealots had committed suicide. hotel in Jerusalem. And as much as I enjoy looking off my balcony at water, I do find it fascinating to look out over these old cities as well. America, we think things are old, and you realize when you come over here how young we really are. We just finished with supper and are back in our rooms, ready to settle in for the evening. I enjoyed today. It wasn't exciting, or as exciting as some of the other things we've seen. Masada was interesting. Bethlehem is
disappointing.
yeah, it's just really built up. And I guess
Yeah.
I knew that going in. It just felt like the afternoon they were showing us things that could be where things happened. The reality is, I'm glad that I can say I have been to Bethlehem, and I know that in that vicinity somewhere Christ was born, and David was on the hills tending his sheep, and Ruth and Boaz fell in love and got married there. So
Kind of like Nazareth. You have these iconic ideas of what it's like in your head, and you get there, it's just nothing but a city. You can't even really see the countryside amongst all the trees to even get a feel for the place. It's just kind of the way it is. And, Bethlehem's in Palestine-controlled area, Palestinian-controlled, and nothing against the Palestinian people, but you can just tell when you go from the Israeli side to them, it's just not as well kept. There's garbage all over. It's just
the economy is poorer.
it is.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot poorer than the Israelis are, and it shows in the cities, and that's how it was in Bethlehem as well. But yeah, it's a good day in Jerusalem now until the end. I think we got 3 more nights here in Jerusalem.
So we leave Thursday morning from here. We fly out.
We don't even know what day of the week or year it is anymore.
It
but
is Sunday today, actually.
It is Sunday, yeah. But yeah, looking forward to going through Jerusalem, going through old town Jerusalem tomorrow. You can't always go to the Temple Mount or the Rock of the Dome, but they're going to allow us tomorrow, so excited about that.
At this point, unless something happens
Yeah,
overnight.
unless something crazy happens,
Yeah.
but looks like we can, so we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Good night.